Tell us, Amy, who is Amy Dobrikova?
So, I mean, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, and I love sales. I've been in the fleet industry going on 15 years now. Very passionate about just people, sales, the fleet industry. I got out for a little while and I said I had to get back. I missed it.
Okay.
And I did. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
who I am.
So 15 years, you are clearly an industry vet by today's standards. Hit us
I
with your,
I
yeah, you feel that? You feel that?
Oh yeah, I mean I remember when we first started, we were so young walking the halls, at the work truck show, and we were like, look at all these old people, and
Yeah.
now we're the older ones.
Yeah. How about that? How about that? So hit us with your resume highlights.
Resume highlights. Well, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I've always been an entrepreneur. Went to college, got my business degree, absolutely loved what I was learning. And I was actually running a business in college, not even knowing what I was doing, and then seeing it on the screen in Business 101. I'm like, oh, that's what that's called. So I had the chance to start working for a startup that was producing a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle and selling into the commercial fleet space. And that really launched my career, to be honest, um, because getting in there, getting assigned to interview the top 100 fleets. I mean, I was getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go ride along with the Frito-Lay driver in his vehicle, delivering his route, documenting his day and how he utilized his vehicle and feedback on his vehicle. And then I would take that information back to the engineers for the company, which then, built the vehicle. So voice of the customer really became my driving factor in sales in my career, is listening to the customer and delivering on what the customer needs. And that, has led me to companies like Cummins and Parker Hannifin and Cardone Industries. And then I was at Blink Charging for the last couple years.
Yeah, the upskilling and transferable is nice, I'm sure. Yeah. So you just kind of gave us the tip of the iceberg, making the safe assumption that working in the commercial vehicle space was not your childhood ambition. Could you tell us, how did Fleet find you?
Yeah, I mean, I love this question because nobody says, when I grow up, I want to be in fleet. And when I was at the startup, the very first company, and I was interviewing, they said, we're just going to be selling to the fleet industry. And I'm like, what's that? And they took me over to the window. The office was on a, third floor, looking over the interstate, and I'd see a truck drive by. That's a fleet. I'd see a semi drive by. That's a fleet. I'd see a utility bucket truck drive by. That's fleet. School bus, etc. And it was like light bulb came on. Oh my goodness, there's fleets everywhere. And so that was how I got into this space, honestly. And I love it because transportation drives this country.
Yes,
And
yeah.
fleet is such a critical industry because just imagine, like, COVID, boom, everybody was at home, nobody was out doing anything, right? What were the essential companies out doing, right? They were delivering groceries, they were law enforcement protecting
Going
the
mobile,
streets.
going mobile, absolutely.
Everything.
Yes,
If one day we blink and they took all fleet vehicles off the road, this world would have major chaos,
you're right.
right? It's such a critical asset.
No, I love your reference to kind of essential industry because we talk medical and law enforcement and so many others that truly are. But you're right. This industry, a really set of industries, drives not just the U.S. but the world, right?
Yeah.
We know supply chain is wrapped all up in this and all the goodies that are there. So no, that's phenomenal. So you led on to the fact that the vast majority of your career has really had some focus on the alternative fuel space, really leaning toward electrification from even the genesis of your time in this industry. As tech innovation goes, we're clearly now living in the reality of vehicle electrification, which was considered a mere concept not too many years ago. You've been an active proponent for many years. Take us through your journey of advanced and clean fuel adoption.
Yeah, so that's a great question. It's funny, I think back to one of the first ACT expos that I went to, right?
Mm.
And it was very small, and you look around and it was CNG versus propane and one little section on electric, my section. And, obviously there's a place for all types of fuel, anything sustainable. But I remember saying, like, electrification is the future. And for years, I saw the industry continue to grow, and big companies would come in and then they would go under, and the new companies would come in. And it was a little bit shaky for a while. We're like, oh, who's going to be the winner, right? And, going to the ACT Expo the last several years and seeing that a large percentage of the vehicles there were electric. You've got the automakers producing electric vehicles for the consumers, right? By 2030, 50% of the vehicles being manufactured by the OEMs will be electric. That's huge. That is driving change, right? That's driving demand for infrastructure and charging stations, which is the world I'm in. So I feel like I picked the winning team. I'm not saying there's not a place for propane, CNG, hydrogen. There's biodiesel. There's obviously a place for all. And with different duty cycles and fleet applications, it really does have different niches that works for those particular drive cycles. So I'm glad I'm on Team EV though.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think my camera froze, but no worries because you're the highlight. So let's get personal now.
Okay.
As a young woman in the fleet industry, what are the early experiences, both positive and negative, that have shaped how you now navigate the industry?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely got profiled pretty quickly. Who's this young female walking into my body shop and, looking at my brake rotors, right? And honestly, it has really driven me to really learn and really totally understand, my customer, what their roles are, so that I could come in and really build credibility very quickly. One of the best advice somebody gave me, it was Chelsea Sexton, who was in the documentary Who Killed the Electric Car. I said, do you have any advice for me? I'm a young female in this industry. I don't, I'm new to this. And she's like, go hang out with the engineers. Go learn the technical side. And so I did. I would stay after work. I would go down to the lab. I'd get underneath the vehicle. I'd look underneath them. I'm like, what's that? Oh, that's a muffler. Oh, what's that? Oh, that's a rotor, right? And I learned just from my team teaching me. And then I remember having this epiphany moment. We were at EVS 24 in Stavanger, Norway, revealing our plug-in hybrid electric van. And I'm having these high technical conversations with the customers as they're coming to our booth. And one guy says, are you an engineer? I said, no, but thank you. It was like, it really proved to me that I can do this, and I don't have to be, I can be a subject matter expert in my field, but it takes a lot of learning from the experts, right? And in sales, you kind of have to translate engineering to the customer sometimes.
Absolutely.
So I kind of become the interpreter now.
Well, which means you are a critical link, right? And so you just touched on this next question because you're brilliant and maybe you can tell the future a bit. But to be very specific, for any woman who's looking for longevity in this industry, what advice are you giving her?
To know your confidence, to know your worth, to know your value, not being afraid to speak up for what you believe is right. If you have ideas, put them out there, whether they listen or not. Don't be afraid to do it, because they feel like a lot of times as women, we kind of sit back and let others kind of take the reign, where it's okay to chime in. I mean, I've had people get in my face screaming at me and telling me like that I was wrong. And I had to say, can you not speak to me in that tone of voice? We can discuss this, at this level. And then I gained respect with that person. So I think it's just knowing who you are and your confidence in what you're doing and what you believe in, and not being afraid to say say it and put it out there.
Well, that's beautiful. But what I'm hearing is there's obviously some some um, some negativity that you have encountered, and that I imagine too many women have encountered, whether it be tone of speech or all the way to downright harassment, right? And everything in between. You just gave the ladies some advice. What do you need to tell these fellas that are in the industry as it pertains to the women that they work with, the women that they may work for, whether that be, internally, within their own company or clients or whatever the case may be? What do us fellas, what do these men need to hear as it pertains to that?
Wow, that's a deep question.
Don't hold back. We ain't got no time to hold them back now. Let's go. Give it to them. Yeah, what they gonna do, fellas? What you gonna do?
I mean, as a male, like, what women's strengths are, right? And respecting them for that, and look at them as that's somebody's wife, it's somebody's mother, it's somebody's daughter, right? And women have a huge role that we play and a lot of strengths that we bring to the table. And that's okay, right? Men are from Mars and women from Venus. Like, we're very different people, and that's okay. But, respect the other side. Give women a chance to give them their voice. Encourage them. If they come up with a great idea, speak it. Women love to hear words of affirmation. I mean, men do too, but at the end of the day, we're working hard. We're doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And what people don't see behind the scenes is, you just gave birth to a child and you're up all night nursing, but then you're at work all day, Like, give them some, just encouragement. Like, oh, great job. Thanks for putting that work together, and just, speaking life into us, because I think that helps us want to work harder. The more that we're getting that affirmation in the workplace.
No, that's excellent, right? Because we have, what comes to mind is, let's not separate the concept of professionalism from being a person, right? Everybody has nuances within their lives, men, women, other, and what are the realities that any given person is dealing with, whether it's related to the job or outside of. The fact is, we bring ourselves into the job each and every day. Everybody's lost a night of sleep, right? For any number of reasons. Everyone's had, a bad day, so on and so forth. But no, what you say is I think I think it's news to a lot of people, because some people are, more alpha, and we get in and go. But I'm also thinking it's not just men that are alpha, right? There are some alpha women. I think you're one of those, Amy. No, I appreciate that. That means a lot. And I think this kind of news is what needs to travel fast. So let's pull it back, and let's actually meld kind of the personal with more of the professional landscape. What connection do you see between sustainability and equity? What connection do you see between sustainability and equity? I hear fragments of this conversation, but I haven't heard a really great cohesive discussion bringing those two together.
Yeah, so I would say from the sustainability side, I think a lot of us get profiled a certain way, right? Tree huggers, liberal, just because we care about the environment, right? And that doesn't always necessarily mean anything, that you're one way or the other. It just means that the person has a passion. For me personally, with sustainability, I want to leave this earth better than we found it. I teach my kids that. My old CEO of one of my companies, he has an organization called Leave It Better Than We Found It. And he's passionate about, the environment. And it really just resonated with me. And everywhere we go, even if we, go to an Airbnb or something like that as a family, how can we leave it better when we're leaving? It's the same thing with the environment. And I think stop profiling people and putting them in a bucket just because they have a passion for reducing emissions, wanting a cleaner environment for our family, wanting, more energy efficiency in our homes. When you get to the equity side, right? It's the same thing. It's profiling. Like when you get that, what is the word? Stereotype, right? Of who this person is that's in this green space doesn't necessarily fit you and your space. And I don't really agree with just stop profiling people. Like support people no matter what path they're on and whatever their passions are. It doesn't have to be your passion, but it's okay. Like be happy that they have passion. How many people have no passion and no desire to do anything?
Would you say that's a missing soft skill around these workplace development conversations we have, is having a level of passion maybe?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So more companies need to do that. They need to step up and create these programs and give people a voice that don't feel like they have a voice.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's part of my simplification, but you're saying something like, you have someone who whose voice may be discounted, give them a voice, right? I think about the various types of fuel, right? And you said a few minutes ago, although you're an EV champ, you and you still champion kind of all things sustainable, right? We know that there's a path, there are bridges that are needed to get to what we may consider the ultimate in sustainability, but I'm also hearing that you indeed do see a direct connection between sustainability and equity. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think we have a long way to go, though. And that's why I love what you're doing, and really trying to drive change and bring awareness to the industry, and have opportunities for people. So.
Yeah, perfect segue. I love how these conversations go. Oh my goodness. So to that point, a couple of years ago, and you and I have known each other for my entire career. You're one of the first people I met, and it's been a wonderful friendship, and I really appreciate you as a person, as a colleague, as a professional, and we've really had kind of this tucked away arm in arm journey together, right? But a couple years ago, you made a verbal declaration to be what we at BFN, Black Fleet Network, term as a defender. What has driven your decision to be a person who stands alongside Black professionals?
Yeah, it's something that, I remember, going back early on, you and I walking through the trade shows, right? And I was looking at it from a female perspective, and you were looking at it from an equity perspective. And I don't think I really realized, honestly, how you felt and how limited the industry is. And so when I heard you share your passion and vision on why you were doing this, absolutely, I'm going to support you. I support my colleagues, my friends, especially entrepreneurs. If they're wanting to start a business, I'm the first one to buy from them. I may or may not want their stuff, but I'm going to do it because somebody needs to plant, and show that, to help encourage them that somebody, believes in them. And for me, that was a part of it. It was just, I believe in what you're doing. I see the need. Happy to support you. And if you feel that way, then many others feel that way. And I mean, from a female perspective, I always joke at the Work Truck Show, my favorite thing to do is go to the bathroom because the line for the men's room is like a mile long and I get to walk right in, right? So those little
Yeah,
moments, when you start seeing like, oh, okay, now we're starting to get a little bit of a line on the women's side too. We're growing in this
yeah, yeah,
industry.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
going to start seeing more and more as we
yeah,
grow. And
absolutely.
that shows that what we're doing is making a difference, right?
No, that's a good point, good perspective. Standing alongside Black professionals and frankly anyone who may be considered underserved or overlooked, right? How does that benefit you? And I ask this question not I'm not asking for you to be dismissive. Oh, it doesn't benefit me. I want to benefit somebody else. No, no, no. I think it's okay if it comes with a benefit or a range of benefits. But in your mind, how does it benefit you to stand with somebody who may be very different than you in some ways? Obviously, we all have similarities.
I think it teaches me another perspective. Um, I, you know, don't always see things the way that you see things. And so as I'm, you know, in working, colleagues and relationships, you're hearing another person's perspective. And I think we should all listen to different perspectives. And, it doesn't mean you have to agree or disagree, right? It's just
Mm.
being open to learning. I feel like I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot. I mean, I've called you a couple of times in instances where, hey, I said this and I didn't mean it this way, but it was interpreted that way. Like, how can you coach me, moving forward? Because, we do live in a very art I don't know how to say it, but just a very
Just say it.
I don't know the word. But people are just constantly attacking people, and it's like, it's not your
Yeah,
intention.
yeah,
And help me understand why what I said may or may not have offended you, right? Help
yeah,
me see your perspective, and then I can apologize and learn and grow, right? And so it's like that for anything. We should
yeah.
all just be open to learning and getting different perspectives, is my opinion.
I think the word is hypersensitive, right?
Hypersensitive, thank
Yeah,
you.
and not to say that in a way, not an attacking fashion, right? But
Right.
hey, I mean, we now live in a world where, and in some cases, it's good. You turn on a show, or even before you read certain things, or you're on social about to read a post, and what do you have? Trigger warning, right? Um, but I love your perspective on being really a lifelong learner, and we're not talking just books here, right? Of
Hmm.
people, of relationships, of what makes great connectivity between differences, between cultures, between the genders, et cetera, et cetera. And what I'm hearing from you is a prerequisite is openness and a
Hmm.
desire, right, to actually move forward. Yeah. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I'm in the people business. I just want to love and accept people. And, I was in a very kind of religious church at one point, and it just judging everybody. And when I got out of that, it was so freeing, because I'm like, I just want to see people how God sees people. And guess what? God
mm,
doesn't look at color. God doesn't
mm,
look at gender. God looks at your heart. And so I've really, for the last 5 years, been really focusing is I just want to know people, and
yeah,
everybody is in different journeys. Everybody has, things that, they're going through that they may or may not put out there. And I'm in the people business, and I truly genuinely want to hear, and look at them as God sees them and not as the world sees them.
yeah, yeah. And for those who are watching, who come from a Judeo-Christian perspective, what Amy is referring to can be found in Galatians chapter 3, verse 26 through 28.
Nice.
Um, and, uh, and read about young David if you want to know about God looking at the heart and not the outer person. No, that's phenomenal, Amy. And that kind of context matters a lot. And I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I know those two different Amy's from before when you were,
Mm-hmm.
you know, part of that community, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, and I can't pinpoint the date or the year, but there was a very clear difference. And it's not like you weren't, you know, friendly or, you know,
Yeah.
open, but yeah, I see, I personally can see what you're talking about. So considering your personal experiences, which you have shared very graciously, and that of those you've witnessed in the automotive fleet space, why is Black Fleet Network important?
It's important to drive change. It's something that's a necessity. It has to change. And so kudos to you. You're driving change.
We are. Yes, we gotta. I'll keep my hands on the wheel, but I need all kind of backseat drivers and side seat drivers and safety tech to monitor things for sure. So, but no, that. Thank you, Amy. You shared some really enriching thoughts that need to be heard. They rub some people wrong, but that's all right. They be all right. You know, toughen up,
Yeah.
G. Um, so
And if it rubs somebody wrong, call me. Let's talk about it. Right? Let me hear your side. Because that's where I think we're in a society, like, you can't even sit across the table from somebody who has the opposite, let's say, politics, right? Like, why can't we just sit and talk about it? Why does it have to end up with, well, I'm not talking to you ever again. I'm unfriending. I'm like, it shouldn't get to that point. We should be able to sit down and conversate, and it's okay if we disagree. It's okay. You can agree to
right,
disagree.
correct, which doesn't have to equal a fracture in a relationship
Exactly.
or death, because that happens, you know.
Yeah.
But and I think to your point, to piggyback, you know, I had breakfast with someone here in South Africa yesterday. I'm still in South Africa, fam, and you know, listening to her, and she's an industry vet as well, but she is a South African woman, and I was also sitting there was a South African gentleman, and actually he's from Zimbabwe, but hearing their perspective of American politics from where they sit
Interesting.
kind of blew me away, and instantly my world was forced to expand, because I mean we go at it in the U.S. and I'm sure every country does within their political context, right? I mean, but it was just immediately eye opening, and what she said, which I won't get into the details of, you know, but it yeah, it was I couldn't even argue against it, even though if I was talking to somebody in the U.S. who said the same thing, I was like, no. I'm not going to end the relationship over it necessarily, right? You know, but it just caused me to realize, like we talk about perspective on a regular basis, but it really, really matters. And no, it doesn't necessarily, you know, equal truth, people's various perspectives, you know, but from where you sit, you are looking at something from an angle that is going to be different from a person who's sitting across from you. And you literally can't see it the same. And we have to value that. So that's an incredible point. And you're right. The more that we, you know, remember that we have two ears, like twice the listening capacity as we do the speaking capacity, and value listening first, it's going to take us far. You know, the monetary investments are great. You know, the tangible resources are wonderful, but that's not the stuff that's going to progress humankind. It's not the stuff that's going to make the world better. It's not the stuff that's going to, as you said so eloquently, leave the world better than we found it. So, Amy, I thank you for your friendship, for being a professional that not just I, but plenty of other people have and will continue to be blessed by because of your subject matter expertise. But your kindness, your heart, Your intelligence is of incredible value, and we're thankful that you're riding with us on this journey at BFN. And thanks for joining us today, Amy.
Thanks for having me.